Barbershop Talk presented by PlugTalkSports. First off, we want to thank Grumman Barbershop for always having the doors open to us and the hospitality. You guys don't know me, my name is Danny Torres, and our special guest today is professional baseball player Willie Escala. Willie, man, just thank you for taking your time. We've been talking about this for a bit. Just thank you for being gracious with your time and just being here in the shop.
Thanks for having me, man. I know it's been like 2 months in the works.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
We're both a little bit busy, but I'm glad we can make it work today.
Now, it's funny, Phil, to tell the viewers, we kind of have like been in the same circle of people since like middle school and like without directly running into each other until like recently. So we went to PPMH, which is, if you guys don't know, it's a middle school here in Miami, and then you went to South Dade for high school.
Correct.
And then I went to Columbus, and then what ended up happening, like there was no connection there during that time, and then what ended up happening is you know David Garcia.
That's right. Yeah.
And we go out one night, we went out to the wharf, and he tells me, oh, like one of my boys is gonna come, is gonna come hang out with us, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, like that's cool. And then it was you. Yeah. And I was like, oh crap, man. And then at this point, I had no idea that you played baseball at Barry. So then I get hired by Barry, and it wasn't to like the first game of the season. I see you, and I'm like, what are you doing here? And you're like, oh, I'm throwing out the first pitch. I played for Barry. And I'm like, this is a small world. This continues to get weirder. And then now here we are. So it's a small world how that all connected and happened.
I'm convinced for Miami's like, anywhere you go in Miami, you're gonna meet somebody you know.
That's true.
It's just funny like how we met at that one night out.
Yeah.
We've been talking ever since.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Yeah, man, it's been crazy.
Yeah. So first question of the night that I want to ask you is, where did your love for baseball start?
Over there in Kendall Hammocks. Since I was 4 years old, man.
Yeah.
My dad had me out there. I got 3 older sisters, so obviously being the only guy,
yeah,
definitely got to embrace baseball a little bit there, and just from there, I played every sport, but baseball for me was just always number one.
Now, your sisters, by any chance, your sister get into softball or no?
One of them plays soccer.
Okay.
But they were more on the musical side of things, so that was pretty cool to have that influence as well growing up.
Okay, and when you're at South Dade and you're playing high school baseball, did you ever think in your mind at any certain point that you would be able to make it this far in the game?
Yeah, I think it hit me, honestly, like sophomore year. That was the year I started on varsity. My freshman year, I was on varsity, but I didn't start. And, I ended up having like a pretty good year as a sophomore, and I started to get some interest from colleges, and I was like, okay, well, I think this is really a good chance for me to, at least get to college for sure, but if I can get like a big D1 offer or something, like, if big D1s are looking at you, you kind of relate to like, okay, well, I can get to the next level too. Yeah,
like if you got, your eye, D1's got their eye on you, I mean, that's a big deal. That's when you kind of know, okay, like I have options.
Definitely.
I know you started off at the University of Miami. So when you're at South Dade, what were kind of the offers from the schools that you had interested in you at that time?
I had a pretty cool offer route. So UM actually was one of the first schools to send me a letter.
Okay.
My freshman year, I went to a lead squad camp. Never ended up playing for them, but just went to camp, like one of the camps to tryouts, whatever. And I remember I ran like a 6.84 60. I had no idea what a good 60 was back then. Turning was pretty good, but I had no idea. I remember they're like, what do you run 60? I'm like, oh, that's my first one, man. They're like, well, that's pretty good. And I'm like, I don't know. But I ended up getting a letter from them after the camp, and then I got a letter from a couple other schools, like the basic letter that I get. So it's like, hey, we're interested in watching you. Come out to our camps, whatever. And I was like, okay, that's cool, But I really didn't get like solid offers until my end of my junior year.
Okay.
So I had all these schools starting to follow me. I got a couple of JUCOs, and then I started the D2 started trickling. And I knew I had the D1s following me, like UM, FSU, South Florida, FIU, all the Florida schools, and a couple up north, like Coastal Carolina, stuff like that. But I didn't get the first solid offer till after the summer of my junior year. So going into my senior year, I got the UM offer, and then after that, it was like a floodgate. Like it was like USF, FIU, Coastal Carolina, just some schools from up north. It was
Yeah, because it's almost like, when that first D1 school offers, he was like, okay, so they offered him, right? Let's just check it out. Let's see what this kid's about.
Yeah, I had a lot of schools ask me, like, oh, let us know when, UM offers you, or let us know when the school offers you. I'm like,
really?
Well, why don't you just offer me right now? We'll figure that out. But it was interesting. It was a cool ride. And I like it because I wasn't one of those kids that was just like, oh, freshman year, I'm committed already. Like, no, I got to see the whole process.
You went the entire process, yeah.
And then getting a good offer and a good school that I wanted to go to.
So you played in Miami your first 2 years, right? And then you transferred over to Barry.
Yeah.
What went into that decision of going from Miami to Barry, going from D1 to D2?
Again, I had an interesting college experience. My freshman year, I wasn't a highly recruited guy.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of the lower ranked guys in the commit in my class. We had like 17 guys committed that year, and I just really outworked most of my counterparts, and I really proved that I could be there. Ended up starting the whole year, and I had a really good freshman year in terms of team batting average and all that stuff, and especially like defensively. The next year, things kind of changed for me. I got moved around a bit. Didn't really start the whole year, but I played like every day. I was like the number one guy off the bench. I ended up playing, I think I started 15 games, but I played like 40 something.
Wow.
So I was always coming in for defense.
Yeah.
For me, I was like, all right, well, this is cool. I love playing at UM. Like the experience is great, but at the end of the day, like I want to play baseball. I want to be the guy that's just being the role player off the bench.
Yeah.
Which I could have been, 2 more years at UM and got my degree from UM and great, but I just did. It didn't seem like when I had my conversations with the coaches that I was going to be able to be a starter, and that's fine. That's what they thought. So I just said, you know what, I'm gonna bet on myself and go somewhere else where I know I can play, or at least get a better chance to play. Not that I know I can play, but you still got to go up there and perform, right? So that's kind of what went into that process.
Now, what did you learn? Like, what was the difference? What would you say was the difference, or the lesson that you learned between D1 and D2?
At the end of the day, baseball is baseball.
Yeah.
Right? You still got to go compete. Granted, D2 at Barry is a lot different than D2 like in other parts of the country because you're playing, Tampa, Rollins, all these schools are getting, at that time, they were getting all the D1 transfers.
It's a competitive conference.
Yeah, and that was before the transfer rule.
Yeah.
So back then, it was like, there was a bunch of guys like me that were from D1s that were getting, bounced back into D2, and it was, it's still competitive now. I'm not saying it's not, but for me, the biggest lesson I learned was like, you got to go up there. You still got to put the work in. You still got to show up and compete. And there's still guys in D2 that are coming to take your job, right? So you still got to go do what you got to do, handle your grades, everything. Yeah.
So you represent the Czech Republic. You played in the World Baseball Classic for Czech Republic. How has that experience been like, being a part of that national team? And if you can tell like the viewers a little bit of how you even, growing up in Miami, how you're able to represent the Czech Republic.
Yeah, so it starts with my mom, of course. My mom is full-born Czech. She was born there, raised, had a interesting experience growing up there, and she ended up coming to Cuba, where she met my dad. My dad's Cuban. And at some point, I think in like 91, they came from Cuba, they moved to the United States. And that's how I got to Miami, of course. I was born, several years later. But, that's the part there, like my heritage. In order to qualify for citizenship in the Czech Republic, you just need to have your mother or father who was born there.
Okay.
And you're automatically can qualify for citizenship. By country, it differs, but to be eligible for the World Baseball Classic, you just need to be eligible for your passport. Okay. For your citizenship. I ended up getting it, which was cool. So now I can travel there. I got my Czech passport, which is awesome. And I played in the European Championship later on with them too. But that was basically the route. My mom was Czech. Yeah. Obviously, growing up in Miami, the Czech influence wasn't always there. Unfortunately, the cool thing I always did was like in all these school projects and stuff, I would talk to my mom and try to pick like Czech Republic instead of like picking like Cuba or some Latin country. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do Czech Republic. It's different. Nobody really knows about it. And that was my way of learning more about my mom's history, but also like tying into that part of my family too, which was really cool.
When you got to the team, like, how was it in the locker room? Like, was it different for you? Like, was there a language barrier? Like, how are you able to just, bond and communicate with your teammates?
Well, fortunately for me, everybody spoke English.
Okay.
Yeah, they all speak English, which is really cool because most of them ended up playing in the States at some point.
Okay,
They
yeah,
went to college, or not all of them did, but a lot of them did
Yeah.
for it. And English over there is actually like a very popular language to learn as a second language as well in the Czech Republic, or at least in like the bigger cities and the main areas. And yeah, man, the locker room was cool for me. Like I never really had any issues. There was times like where I felt like a little bit left out,
Yeah.
because they're gonna communicate in their native language, which
Yeah.
is totally acceptable, like
Yeah.
understandable. Like if when I'm in indie ball and I got a bunch of
Yeah.
Dominican or Venezuelan guys, Cuban guys, we all speak Spanish.
Yeah.
That's their primary language. So I adjust to them. I speak Spanish. Unfortunately, I don't know Czech yet. Promiňte, nemluvím česky is like me saying I don't know how to speak Czech. And yeah, so that's the part that I'm trying to get better at. But they were always really good. They always invited me out everywhere we went. And
Cool.
try to take me in and show me around and make sure I wasn't getting scammed or something. So it was good. It was good.
Hey, you gotta get on that with Duolingo, man.
I'm on Duolingo. I keep breaking my streak, but I'm
No, I totally feel that. I'm trying to learn French right now, and I get the little notification that says, "Oh, your streak is ending." I'm like, "Man, I forgot about it today. I gotta get my 15 minutes."
15 minutes a day.
Yeah. So, World Baseball Classic. How was that experience being in that tournament?
Insane, man. First thing was like, we got to travel. MLB paid for all that stuff, I believe. So it was like first class
Yeah.
flights. If you didn't fly first class, it's because you were giving away one of your an extra ticket.
Okay.
Like a family member,
Yeah.
girlfriend, whatever. So some guys did that, which was cool. But yeah, flew first class to Tokyo.
That's amazing.
We went to Miyazaki first in Japan, which is like a smaller surfer, like a seaside like
Community.
city.
Yeah.
And from there, we played like a couple scrimmages and stuff against some of the teams in Japan, like the industrial league
Okay.
teams, which is cool. And just getting to try. I mean, I tried all these different foods. I'm not a seafood
Yeah.
guy or anything. I was trying sushi, sashimi, squid.
Oh man.
Yeah, I was fully embracing like,
Yeah.
the culture and just trying to, take advantage of the fact of where I was, in that part. Yeah, I could go more in depth about other stuff, but just kind of.
Now you did end up playing Japan
Yes.
here in Miami
Yeah.
at Lone Depot Park, and you faced Shohei Ohtani. How was that? Just a player of that magnitude, where now he's with the LA Dodgers and he got that huge contract. How was it playing against Ohtani?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to play him here in Miami. I played him in
Japan.
in Tokyo, which was freaking sick. Imagine the first game we played, we only had like 15,000, 20,000 fans.
Wow.
That stadium holds 57 something. The second game we played was against Japan.
Fan? It filled up?
57,000
Oh,
fans
man.
watching the game. I just remember we go out to the BP for the game, and we're watching Shohei hit BP, and we're like, oh. His face was right center field. He's just hitting it off his face. Off our check flag in center field, the batter's eye. And we're just like in shock. Like everybody's just like,
Who is this guy?
and you don't realize it, but he's like a big human being. Like he's
Yeah.
not. Like you see him on TV and you think
Yeah.
he's big. No, when you see him in person, you're like, that is a massive person.
That is a massive guy.
Yeah, it was cool, man. He's like, this larger than life figure, but he's super like humble and super nice. And he wore a hat when he was in Miami. Once they advanced out of their bracket,
Yeah.
they were in Miami, and he wore our Czech hat landing at the airport, which was they sold out like the next day. It was the coolest thing. Yeah, it was cool, man.
The biggest, and we were talking about this before we started, but one of the biggest storylines is that you took a 101 mile per hour pitch right to the knee. Dude, how was that like? I know you fell on the floor and you were in pain.
Dude, I was down bad. So that was Sasaki, Roki Sasaki,
Yeah.
man. He's a very nice guy as well. Very, very cool dude, very humble person. And that was his first, I believe his first first game pitching for Japan,
Yeah.
representing Japan in Japan, which was
Yeah.
super cool for him, I think, as well. And I remember my first hit, he struck me out on 3 pitches. Like he went like splitter, fastball, blew it by me, and I was like, all right, cool. Second at bat, I was like, I forgot the first pitch. I think it was a splitter, ball, fastball away strike, fastball in strike. I'm like, all right, well, here we go. Throws a splitter. I fouled it off. I'm like, yes, all right, we touched it.
We got
I
contact.
was kind of geared up for the fastball, which I think made it even worse because I didn't know he missed they said a fastball low and in. Obviously, he missed in.
Yeah.
And yeah, it hit me, and I was just like, you know, on the floor. I'm like tearing up because I'm like, all right, man, like I think my knee just broke. Just from the impact, you know, the pop, and you know how hard he's throwing, so you know it's a very possible thing that it happened, and it hit me straight on the bone. And so I'm like crawling on the ground trying to get to the turf because I was like, you're not getting dirty.
You can't crawl the first.
I was like, let me just get to this turf because everything else was turf besides the batter's box. And you know, they're like, hey man, we're just gonna stand you up. If it's broken, you'll know. All right.
Stand me up.
Stand me up. I pop up. I'm like, yeah, it's I don't think it's broken. It hurts, but
they're like, all right, go to first.
And yeah, I was just like praying to God. I'm like, man, just keep me in this game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be down right now in the World Baseball Classic, like representing my mom's country. It was so whatever I could do to stay in. You know, I think I jogged. I walked to first. I took a little jog. I sprinted back. I got like a roaring applause from the crowd, which is awesome, really amazing. Like 55,000 people just you know, clapping their hands for me. And then he actually ends up coming out that inning because of pitch count. And he like gives me a bow, you know, I give him a bow too, and just super cool experience.
Man, that is awesome.
Like, just to see the level of respect from both teams and the fans and everybody was cool.
Now, last question on World Baseball Classic. Like, from that experience, what lesson for you personally do you take out of the World Baseball Classic experience?
Number one, just be very grateful for every opportunity you get. You know, every moment that you get to be on the field representing your country, representing the team you're playing for. You know, it's a moment to show people who you are.
Yeah.
You know, I got to learn a lot just from, you know, I didn't think I did anything extraordinary in the tournament. You know, I played the game. I did my best, but I think people just seeing the type of competitor I was, like how tough I was, and how much love I had for playing the game. And you know, from that, I saw like people. You know, I was like I told you before. Like, people came up to me on the street and asked me for a picture. Like I was in the Lululemon store trying to get some selfies. And so, you know, the whole like 4 people in the store asked me for the picture, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like I didn't do anything. I didn't hit a home run. I didn't do anything crazy. All I did was get hit by a pitch and stand up and you know keep playing the game, which I would have done like regardless of whatever happened. And just to see how people appreciate baseball was cool. And I think the other thing was just really diving into your teammates for support and everything. You know, I got to see like the brotherhood of Czech baseball. You know, all those guys they played together for 20-something years.
Yeah,
so little kids,
and they all know each other.
Yeah, so they've been playing together on the same team all this time, and for me to be included in that so rapidly, I really appreciated it. It just made me want to like learn more about the culture, learn the language, and just keep getting better in those regards.
Now you've also been playing in the Frontier League, Sussex County. Tell me, how did you get there, and what has the experience been like playing for them?
Connections, man. So I played my last year in Miami, Ohio.
Yeah.
Which is up in Cincinnati, right by Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And I'm home after the season's over. I'm trying to get signed. Draft was 20 rounds. I didn't get signed. Got like one phone call, but nothing came of it to even sign as a free agent. So I started looking for any ball. My dad's like, hey, there's this team, the Florence Yalls. They're doing a tryout. So I go to this tryout. Luckily, I had my coaches from Ohio that lived right there, and they let me stay at their house. So all I had to really pay for was my plane ticket.
Yeah.
Made it a lot more, feasible.
Yeah.
And I get up there, do the tryout, do well. I like hit the ball well. Like they're like, man, we would sign you today, but we just signed some guy that got released from AA or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, sick. So I just came up here for no reason, basically. But as I'm packing up my stuff in the dugout, I see the team they just played with were the Sussex County Miners. And on that team were 2 guys that played with at UM, Alex Terrell and Michael Medevilla.
Wow.
Yeah. So I called both of them, like, hey, bro, I know you guys just left, but I just did a tryout for the team you played for. And they're like, no, hold up, let's talk to our coach. We're going to talk to our coach. Talk to their coach, like, hey, bro, just come. I'm like, what do you mean just come?
Yeah.
He's like, dude, I don't know what you have to do. Drive up here. I'm like, I don't
even know I have a plane ticket, like anything. Yeah.
They're like, bro, get a flight over here. We'll pick you up from the airport. Like, you're gonna have a tryout tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I call my dad. I had to, yeah, bro, book the flight. Go. Why not?
Yeah.
You're already up there. So I book a flight. I go to Jersey. Terrell picks me up. Next day I do a tryout. This guy named Bobby Jones. Shout out to Bobby, but he's like, hey man, yeah, just come out. It rains.
Oh man.
All I do is catch ground balls that day. I caught like 400 ground balls with the guys. I'm about to start hitting, it rains. So they see me hitting the cage a little bit, hey, just come back tomorrow. Okay, cool.
So you mentioned the MLB draft. You know, the 20 rounds went by. You had one phone call. What was your headspace at that moment? You know, that can be something tough mentally, like, you know, this is what I want to do. I feel like this is my calling. This is my purpose. You know, I want to play baseball professionally. And you don't get that call. And for many people, they're like, all right, I'm throwing in the towel. I'm going to go, you know, have a job, you know, another career, and that's it for me for baseball. Where was your mind at during that moment?
I was kind of on that fence. I was like, man, like, nobody called me. I said,
Yeah.
what's next? Because you don't really think to go play, like, independent ball right away.
Yeah.
Not, like, right away, you're never like, oh, I'm going to go play independent ball. At least for me.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously I knew things were changing because, like, the year before was 5 rounds, and then this year was 20 rounds.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, well, I guess I just got to figure it out, you know? Like, you know, let's start thinking. My dad started seeing, like, all these independent leagues. You know, the agent I had, he was kind of helping me out too. He was like, hey, we can get you into indie ball and see what happens from there. It's tough. It's not an easy road to go down, but it'll give you a shot. And, dude, I'm glad I did, because if not, I would have never got any of these experiences that I had to do. If I would have just shut it down, like, okay, I could have been working maybe a decent job right now, but I was like, let me go try it out. You know, at the end of the day, baseball, when it's gone, right?
Yeah.
Like, jobs you're always going to be able to find at some point, but baseball is like, when you're done, it's really hard to get all the way back into it. So that was kind of my mindset. I was like, you know, I'll keep training. You know, I was working part-time, whatever, some friends, just kind of helping them out, they're helping me out. And then, you know, ended up finding that tryout, went there, and from there, everything else kind of snowballed.
And, you know, if you never tried, I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
So, and look, well, you were just telling me how you were in Ohio, and then that door closed, but another door opened, and you were able to go to New Jersey, and you were able to get on that team.
Yeah.
So it's honestly, it's just trying.
It's just trying things out, and, you know, one day you'll see that it's not the right, you know, the route anymore for you, but
you have to try.
Sometimes you give it a shot, and something miraculous happens.
So what would you say, where do you see yourself in the next 4 years?
Ideally in the MLB. You know, ideally I can get out of this year, out of indie ball, and sign with the team, and hopefully, you know, make it up their minor league system. But we'll see. I mean, I've been open to everything. You know, I've even thought about going to play, you know, overseas in Japan or something. If the team was willing to take a shot at me, I would. So for me, it's kind of like, just with baseball, you just never know. Like, you know, I'm still playing baseball. Currently, I'm a construction superintendent in the morning.
Okay.
So, like, you know, I'm working, which is kind of cool, because this is what my Czech teammates do every day. They all have, like, their jobs, their steady day jobs, and then they go play on the weekends. So I'm kind of getting that like, you know, tertiary experience with them, kind of just being like, all right, like, let me, you know, so I work 7 to 3 p.m. every day, and then in the afternoon I'm coaching baseball, and I also train. So it's been interesting. I'm just kind of helping myself, set myself up for the future, but also, you know, keeping all my doors open at this point.
So we actually saw each other, we're filming this on a Thursday night, we actually saw each other last night at the very game. And we were just talking how you coach, I think you're assistant coach, right, at Miami Country Day?
Correct.
How's that experience, you know, like giving that knowledge to the high school players?
It's awesome. So my last year of school in Miami, Ohio, I did sports psychology.
Okay.
I didn't finish it, but I started my master's. I got my grad certificate in it. And it's just cool because there's a lot of information that I learned that I applied to myself. And then I see, like, these kids, like, they're very, you know, open to learning. They ask me a ton of questions all the time. And so it's just cool for me to be able to give information, and now I kind of have a better basis of how to give information and kind of relate to them. And for me, that's been the coolest thing, is, like, you know, I'll tell them stuff, and I'm like, man, why don't I just do that myself? Like, so I'm like teaching them, but I'm also, like, reminding myself. Get, you know, be better at, which is cool. And I don't only coach too. Like, sometimes I'll be on the field with them training. Sometimes I hit BP with them. So you know, they get.
And they probably get hyped. They're like, "Oh, get in there, let's see."
They're like, "Oh, bro, you hit that so far." I'm like, "Oh, you should see the other guys on my team." So that's been cool. I've enjoyed that a lot.
Do you see later on in your future? Do you see coaching as a possibility?
I could. I've always put, like, baseball for me, coaching specifically, like, on the back burner, because I know that's something that I'll always have. Like, I can always get back to that and do it. You know, I always know that in Miami there's a ton of opportunity to do it. Yeah. But for me, I'm like, you know, I want to try to do a career outside of coaching first. Yeah. And then that's kind of always, like, I can always fall back to that and do it at the end, or do it for fun. You know, hopefully I'm doing something in my life where either if it's professional baseball or like, I'm working in construction and I move up pretty well in my job, then I'll be able to fall back on that, or like coach in the afternoons like I'm doing now, and just enjoy that part and not really do it for just trying to make money or whatever. So we'll see. I tell you, man, like I'm kind of just floating with the river right now. Whatever.
Like you have your opportunities.
I got my opportunities laid out, but whatever door gets opened.
Yeah.
God's grace. So we'll see which way I go.
I have to ask, because this was David Garcia's perspective. I have to ask yours. He said when he played in South Dade, he hated playing Columbus. Do you have the same feeling?
We hated Columbus. I mean, I think every year we play Columbus, we always ended up playing them in the regional.
Yeah.
Almost every year I was there. I think besides, every year we had to go through them at some point. It was either we lost them or we beat them and moved on.
Yeah.
So it was, man, we hated Columbus. It was not for nothing, but we just that was the one school.
It was always there.
You guys in Kennedy, man. You guys, back then, at least for us,
yeah,
I feel like it was like reciprocated. Like I feel like we both hated each other when we were on the baseball field.
Yeah. Yeah, he was like, bro, I hated playing them, man.
Yeah.
Hated them. That's funny.
We had to beat you guys. Every time we lost, we were just like, we felt like we just disappointed the entire season.
Yeah, man. Now, overseas, I would assume there is European leagues, correct?
Yeah, there's a bunch. There's some in Germany, France.
Is there a league in Czech?
In Czech, they're called the Czech Extra League. It's like a professional league, which is what most of the guys on my team play
in that league. Yeah.
That league is only Friday to Sunday.
Okay.
So these guys work all week.
So that's cool. They
practice in the evening.
Yeah.
So they get out of work at 5. They either go to practice, or some days, if they have kids, sometimes they go home to their kids, which of course they got to attend to that as well. And then they go play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So these guys don't take a break either, because they're
you just go.
And you got to go play 3 more games in a weekend. Like it's not an easy grind.
Hey, but it makes for a good storyline. Like if Czech Republic, let's say they do great in a World Baseball Classic, it makes for a great storyline. It was a couple years ago. This is a different sport, but it was soccer in the European Championship. Iceland was playing in it, and their coach is a part-time head coach, and he's a full-time dentist.
Yeah.
So they're like, and they did well, and they're like, this dentist is really leading Iceland far in this tournament. And so, like, if that happened, like, that's a fantastic storyline to have. But
it's weird that you say it, because my coach he's a neurosurgeon.
Oh my God.
His name is Pavel Hadim, and he's a neurosurgeon.
That's crazy, man.
And he's a great coach, fantastic coach for us. And the coolest thing about like Czech baseball is like that all these guys live in the Czech Republic. Like we have 4 Americans on the team last year. There's me and Eric Sogar, who did live in the United States. Eric Sogar was a 10-year big leaguer. And then we have 2 other guys, Jeff Harto and Jake.
Okay.
And they actually moved to Czech Republic. They have a Czech wife. They have kids already. They're fully integrated in Czech baseball, which is awesome.
Have you thought about making that? I'm sure you have. But you thought about
one of the doors? Yeah. One of the doors, man. There's like 5 or 6 doors out there for me. So I'll see which one gets opened up. But
so I'm assuming you have spent time in Czech before. Prague.
That's where my mom's sister lives.
Okay.
So I actually had never been before. I was the only one in my family that hadn't been. Me and my dad.
Okay.
We were always playing baseball. Never got to go with my sisters. And then last year, before the World Baseball Classic, I said, you know what, I'm going to go early. So instead of reporting, I think our report date was like March 4th or whatever.
Okay.
I was like, no, I left in like beginning of February, like February 5th, I think is when I left.
Okay.
And I spent basically a whole month there in Czech Republic with the guys training at one of the facilities that they had for one of the teams at the league. And then I was living with my aunt, so it was cool. I got, I was taking the metro, all the metros and the trams, getting around.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was a very cool experience for me to get to live in another country for a month. And then I ended up staying in Brno for another month after the World Baseball Classic, and I played for Hiroshi Brno, which is one of the teams in Extra League. So I ended up playing the Extra League for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Oh, that's cool.
I came back home, and then I had like 5 days at home, and then I took off to Sussex County.
So when does that season come up for you again?
May 1st is my report date, and then May 11th is the official start date. We have like a 10-day spring training. Okay. But then after that, it's like full go, like 6 days a week. So it's like we start late, but then we don't stop. So
how long is the season?
total of like 95, 96 games, I think. So it's
Okay.
6 days a week, Mondays off, and then from May to middle of September.
Okay. I want to ask, how do you feel about the pitch clock?
I like it, I don't like it.
Okay.
So there's times I like it. So when there's like, what do you call it, like man on base, and you have 20 seconds,
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Because I kind of mess with the pitcher, like I know when to step in. Like the hitter, you have to be ready by 8 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So I always step in like at 10. So the pitcher can't stand there staring at me trying to get a sign. Because I did it, like I remember the first game, I got in there like right on like 17 seconds.
Yeah.
And I'm just there like waiting. And this guy's still just staring at the sign. I'm looking at the pitch clock, I'm like, oh, he's still got 10 more seconds. So I screwed myself. And then sure enough, I was like, all right, well, I kind of got my routine. And I figured out like, oh, if I step in like at 10 seconds or like 11 seconds, like it gives him less time to really like try to mess with me.
Yeah.
When there's nobody on base, I hate it because the 15 seconds, like as a hitter, you really have 7 seconds.
Yeah.
Because you have to be ready by 8. And like you'll swing and miss, whatever, and you're like resetting your batting gloves. Next thing you know, it's like, 3 seconds.
Yeah.
It's 9 seconds. You like jump into the box, just trying to get in. So for me, mixed feelings. Like I like it because it keeps the game pace. Like the great thing was we finished every game by like 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So you got to go sleep a little bit earlier, get home a little bit earlier, which was nice always. But yeah, I always feel like the 15 could be like 18. They could give you a couple extra. That's me though.
Listen, bro, I'll tell you from a commentator's perspective, I like baseball.
Yeah.
But from a commentator's perspective, I hate it.
It's tough, right?
There's
nothing to talk about.
It's because usually, like, for me right now, it's just me by myself. So it's just me talking for like 5 straight hours.
Yeah.
And I already had a game this season at Barry that went 14 innings. And I was like, bro, even last night where it was tied, I hadn't eaten lunch since I had lunch at 2 in the afternoon. I hadn't eaten it past that. And it was already 8th inning, it was tied. And I'm like, and I'm just being honest, I'm like, man, at this point, like, I just want someone to score because I am hungry. I want to go eat. Like, from a commentator's perspective, it's tough.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It is tough. When I was at FIU where I started my career, we had a game, and at that point I still had classes. We had a game that went to like almost 2 in the morning in extra innings, and I'm like, I have a 9 a.m. class tomorrow. I'm like, and it's tough too, because at a certain point, like it's that long, like you gotta go to the bathroom. And it's like, I can't leave here to go to the bathroom. I won't make it back in time before the next inning starts. So that's why I like the pitch clock. I'm like, hey, let's keep it going. But sadly for college or even high school, that hasn't been adapted to yet. So it's
coming.
I hope, man, because
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Division I has it.
Okay.
I think at least some schools are starting to do it. But I know within the next like 2-3 years, you'll see it in D2.
Yeah, because
I don't think to high school, but I think it'll go all the way up to down to D2, D3.
Okay. Yeah, because like for example, this Saturday we have a doubleheader, which this is what I never understood. Like, we've always had Friday, from what I've known, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
For some reason in D2, it's Friday, doubleheader Saturday.
That was the biggest change for me.
And
I remember, D1 was, especially Miami, you're
Yeah.
flying everywhere. So
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, fly home.
yeah.
And then in D2, it's like, no, we're just going to play a doubleheader. We'll play 18 innings on Saturday and then bus ride home if you're away.
Yeah.
Like, bro.
And yeah, for a commentator, it's worse. Like, you just got through that one whole game. You're already tired by that point. And you're like, we got another 9 innings to go, man. Like, yeah. That's why I always tell them, and I think I think Haley. She commentates with me softball, and I tell her all the time, I'm like, I like doing softball a lot better.
It's quicker.
It's quicker. I find they're more energetic. And I actually asked her the other day, I was like, hey, so you're going to hop on baseball with me? And she was like, hell no. I'm like, well, thanks for leaving me hanging. But the last question that I want to ask you, MLB season is about to start. Early prediction. Who do you see in the World Series?
I've been following the trades. I'm going to go Orioles for sure. I feel really good about the Orioles making it this year. If they stay healthy. The Dodgers, screw them. Overpowered, brother, for no reason. The for no reason.
But I feel like it's been like that. They've had all these great players, and then they don't do anything.
I mean, if they don't do it this year, I don't even know what else to tell them. Like, what do you tell a team like that if they can't do it this year?
Yeah.
I'm going to go Braves, man. We'll go Braves.
Braves.
Put the Braves over them.
That's an interesting pick.
I go Orioles, Braves.
What about San Diego?
Nah. San Diego just lost Soto.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, they got some good players, but I just don't think they're going to wrap it up. I don't think they got it.
Okay. Okay.
I think Braves, it's either going to be Braves or Dodgers for me.
Okay.
We could see the Diamondbacks. I don't know if they'll have that, make that run again like they did.
You think the Rangers will be back?
I feel like the Orioles, man. I feel really good about the Orioles.
They've been having a past couple of seasons. They've been doing really well. They've been doing really well.
They got a good young core that got a lot of experience last year.
Yeah.
And I just think they made some moves in the pitching.
Yeah.
I forgot who they signed. Who did they sign? They signed somebody big, I remember, as a pitcher. So I just think that they have the pieces there to do it. You know, I think the Rangers obviously are going to be right there with them.
Yeah.
My picks, I'm going to go Orioles and we'll go Braves.
So you're hearing it here first. We got Orioles and Braves or Dodgers. If the Dodgers don't do it, then I don't know what's going to happen there. But Orioles.
Picking on Hard Rock Bet.
Orioles and Braves. Well, Willie, man, thank you, bro. Thank you for coming on here. I appreciate it. And you guys got to follow this guy on all our social media. We'll be tagging it and follow along his journey, his career, and the upcoming baseball season. Again, this has been Barbershop Talk presented by PlugTalkSports. And once again, thank you to Groom and Barbershop for the hospitality. We'll see you guys.